Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be doing a first impressions demo of this Nomad Cosmetics Iceland palette. So I got this as a birthday gift. My best friend gave it to me. Thank you, Caroline, if you're watching. And yeah, so I'm super excited to try this. If you guys didn't see, I posted a review of another palette of Nomad Cosmetics recently on my channel. I will leave it up in the eye and down below, but it is for the America's Parks palette. And just to let you know, I also love that one too. So I don't have anything else to think other than I'm going to love this one too, but I'm excited to try it out. So let's just go ahead and put it to the test. A lot of these shades are calling my name. I am going to stick more to like the sides. I'm not going to do like warm tones because I did do a warm tone look with their America's Parks palette, so I'm really wanting to do a cool tone look. I have been really leaning towards like the ones on this side, but really like the 6 here. So I think I might just use like the 6 here and maybe the green or the purple, maybe the gray. I don't know, we'll see kind of how it goes. But I'm going to try and use a lot of the shades in this palette again for this first impressions, like I did with their other palettes, so I can kind of test out the different formulas because there does seem to be quite a few formulas in this palette. So if you're wondering, this palette retails at full price for $37 on Nomad Cosmetics website. They are a vegan and cruelty-free company, and they make palettes based on their traveling adventures. And I think that's really cool. So this is called the Iceland Fire and Ice palette. It is an intense eyeshadow palette. The packaging is also really pretty. You can see the texture on here. You can actually like feel kind of like the grit of the sparkles here, and then as well here, like kind of where like the paint would be laying. It's really nice. And then on the inside, it does again have a pretty large mirror here. So it's a very well constructed palette, and I'm excited to try it out. I'm gonna use the eyeshadow base that I'm most familiar with. It's the NARS Tinted Smudge Proof eyeshadow base. I have this in the shade Light. It's almost gone, but I've almost used it up, so I really know the formula. I will go ahead and put a video here of a flash video of the swatches on my arm so that you can see what the swatches look like for each shade. I think that they look really nice swatched, but I am interested to see how they look on the eyes because some of the glitters didn't have a ton of like a pigmented base, so I'm excited to see how they'll look when you kind of mix them with other shades. When I filmed the America's Parks palette, I used my KJH brushes, but they're dirty now with warm tones. So I'm going to use this little set from ColourPop. This is just the light pink set. I will tell you the names of them, but I hope that that makes it a little bit easier if you're interested in which ones I'm using to just keep them out of the same set. Okay, for starters, I'm gonna go into the E15 brush and the shade Frig here. When I swatched this one on my arm, it was very buttery. I mentioned this in the other video where I tried the America's Parks palette. I'll try not to mention that one too much, but I just wanted to let you know, if you didn't see that video, that I messaged the co-founder Felicia on Instagram, and she was telling me that she suggests if you're using one of their matte shades that you tap off the brush. So I'm just going to be doing that every time I reach into a matte shade. But I just wanted to tell you that. She said there's going to be a little bit of kickback with that so that they're extra blendable, but something to note. This shade is not super pigmented in the sense that it's like covering any veins on my eyelids, so it would have been better if I used a primer that kind of canceled out the veins. This is building up really well though to cover those veins. Next I'm going to go into the shade Njord here with the E16 brush. I'm just going to put this slightly lower than where I put the last one in the crease. This is really nice. I like this color a lot. I like the first color too, but I should have used a different eyeshadow base. I'm going to use that last brush and go back in with Frig again. In my day-to-day, I wouldn't bring up the color high past the crease. It's just like my preference, but I want to create a lot more room to use the other shades, so I'm just going to kind of be okay with that today. Next, I'm going to use the E19 brush. It's a slightly smaller crease brush, and I'm going to go into this one here, Niflheim, and I'm just going to put this one even lower than the other blue shade. This is a really pretty shade too. I'm trying to kind of build this one up, and I'll blend above it in just a second. I do think I'm going to do a cut crease. Wasn't planning on it, but I think it'll give me a chance to use more of the shades. I'm going to go back into the shade Njord with the same brush I was using for that. just kind of blend the two of these out. All right, and then one more time, I'm gonna go into the mint green shade. Okay, because it's gonna take me quite a while, I'm going to do this off camera, but I'm just going to use this Juvia's Place Eye Prep Eye Prime eye primer in the shade 1 to just kind of cut the crease, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm done at cutting the crease. It's not perfect, my eyes are hooded. I'm not perfect at it, but I think it's gonna be fine once we get all the other colors on. If not, we'll do some blending. Just don't look too close, okay? I'm pretty much just wanting to do like a nice gradient of the blues, I think. Trying to decide if I want to work in one of these two colors. Maybe this one with the blue and then put this one on the lower lash line or something. This shade here in Alfheim is the one that doesn't really have like much of a base to it. It seems more like almost a topper shade, so I might skip out on that one today actually. If I stamp it, you can kind of see that it's purple. But there's also this one, which is just really cool. And it's like got multiple glitter colors in it. Okay, so I think I'm going to use the 3 of these. The bottom one's kind of like a duochrome with blue and green, but it is the 3 here. And I don't know, they're all like really pretty, but I'm having a hard time thinking about how I can use like a lot of them. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go with like what I'm leaning towards, and I'm probably going to dip into the 2 matte shades here as well on the outer corner. And that should be like a pretty good amount of using the different shades. Now that I've sat here for 5 minutes thinking about which shimmer shades I want to use, I'm going to jump in here to God's Waterfall on a flat shader brush. This is the number E3 from the ColourPop set. This primer is like extremely creasy. I've never used it for a cut crease before. I usually use concealer, but it is a nice primer by itself, so I'm hoping that it will turn out okay. I'm just putting this on like the most inner part of the lid. I'm actually going to use my finger. It wasn't super pigmented on the brush. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. This shade is really pretty. I'm tempted to like put it all over the lid, but I want to use more so I can show you guys what they're going to look like on the eyes, but I just want to use like all of these shades, but like only use them like by themselves because they're just really, I don't know, like I think I'm maybe struggling with the color story a little bit because there's just so many options and I can't quite see them together perfectly, but I just want to kind of put them on the eyes and see how it goes then, because I kind of felt that way in the beginning when I started the last video on this on the America's Parks palette. But yeah, let's just jump into it. I think I'm just like, do I want to go all blue or do I want to pull in the green? I do think I'm going to try and pull in a little bit of green. I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna go here into Valkyries. I'm gonna put this one right next to the last one, just a little bit. That's really pretty. It's like a duochrome between blue and purple. I'm going back into God's Waterfall on my finger and just kind of blending the two. All right, next up I'm going to go into Elves here. This is kind of like the blue-green shade, and I'm going to put this right next to the other one. These are all going to like blend into each other a little bit, I think, because they are like a really similar undertone. I'm really surprised. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to tell. Let me build up that Valkyries shade because I did just kind of cover it, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about, but they're actually really complementary to one another. The undertones of these shadows together are actually really nice, especially in person. I'm not sure quite yet how they're going to translate to camera, but I'm liking this so far, so I'm just going to go ahead and catch the other eye up. I'm going to take the E19 again. This is the one we used that dark blue shade on, and I'm going to go into the shade Odin. This is like a greenish gray. I'm going to put that on the outer corner. Even though this palette's super colorful, I think it's a really good palette if you just wanted to like reach into 2 or 3 colors and make a complete look, because there's so much dimension in each shade that I kind of find it challenging to use a lot of them. But I also recognize I'm not the most creative person with eyeshadow. I am having a little bit of fallout with this shade. I just wanted to point that out, but that's why I did the eyes first, so that doesn't really bother me, especially with a colorful palette. I'm really probably mostly going to do the eyes first before I were to reach into face makeup. Okay, and I don't have a really small pencil brush from that ColourPop set, so I'm going to use the Sigma E30 pencil brush, and I'm going to go into Dark Castles, which is like the really deep brown. I'm going to put this on the very outer edge, like just barely out here. I'm going to go back in with that last brush with a little bit more of the green gray shade and just kind of blend that out. So far, this shade Odin is actually the one with the most amount of fallout, even compared to the shimmers I used. And last up for the upper lash line, I'm just going to again use the shade Elves and just tap that slightly more on the outer corner here. I'm just going to go over it with a clean brush on top of the shimmers to make sure I didn't get any on the crease. I know I said lastly, but actually lastly, I'm going to go into Gallows Lava. I'm going to use a small brush and actually put that on the outer edge as well on top of those matte shades, just to use another shade. I'm going to use that same pencil brush. Day to day, I would not reach into this many shades for one look, but I do think it's fun when you're first trying out a palette to try that. This shade is really, really sparkly. It's pretty. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and clean up the fallout and also straighten up the edge for like almost a liner look. Okay, because I'm wanting to use more shades in this, I'm kind of thinking about doing another colorful lower lash line, and I'm really between the shades Anthem and Northern Lights, so that's the purple and green shade here. I don't know. And then there's also Hail. That's just like, I think a little too much. Like the purple would look the most natural, but what I'm gonna do is put a poll up on my Instagram and see what you guys think, and I'm gonna do my face makeup while I wait for a response to see what you guys vote for, because I'm sitting here thinking I wish you guys could pick, but you kind of can if you follow me on Instagram. If you don't, I'll put my name here. I'll also have it linked down below if you want to follow me over there. Alright, I finished up my face makeup. I feel like I look a little crazy without mascara, so let's just go ahead and let me tell you what I used. I mixed together these two primers. This is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh and then the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. For foundation, I also mixed two together. I'm having a really bad skin day today. It's just really dry, and it was extremely emphasized. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to tell, but like it just looks really caked on. But I did mix together the Crease HD Liquid Coverage. This was looking really cakey, so I did put on a little bit of this LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation. My skin doesn't look good up close today. I'm just going to try and like keep my distance, but that's life, it happens. And yeah, it kind of looks like crap, especially right here. It's like super broken up and just like creased and dry, but this is a video about the eyeshadow, but I just wanted to let you know. I don't know, I think it seems like okay from this distance, but just know that that's really how it looks. So it's just, I've got a lot of texture on my skin right now and it's really dry, so we're just gonna move past it. For concealer, I used this one from NARS. This is the Radiant Creamy Concealer. I used my number 7 pressed powder and then my Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow Duo. I used both the bronzer and the highlight. For blush, I used this one from EG Lips. This is the lavender shade. For lips, I used my NYX Nude Suede Shoes lip liner and then the ColourPop Lippy Stick in the shade Oh Snap. For brows, you guessed it, the same combo as always. Milani Weekend Brow Soft Brown and then the Essence Clear Brow Gel. I also did use my ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Setting Mist. Such a mouthful, but I used it about 3 times because my skin was looking so dry. So I just put that poll up while I was doing my face makeup, and right now it is a tie. I've got 2 votes for green and 2 votes for red. And I'm ready to just like finish up this look because I'm getting kind of tired. But I sent it to my husband and had him be the tiebreaker between the green and the red. He chose green, so we're just gonna do a green lower lash line. So since we're doing green, I'm gonna go ahead and still use the matte Frig shade. This is the ColourPop E18 brush. I'm just gonna run this really lightly along the lower lash line. Okay, and the green shade that you guys voted for, or that Matt was the tiebreaker for, was this shade here called Northern Lights. So I'm just going to kind of pack that on this brush. And then I am going to wet the brush with that same ColourPop Pretty Fresh mist. I'm just going to kind of press this along the lower lash line. This looks a little wild, but this would be really pretty on the upper lash line. But you guys had it between green and red, so either way, it was gonna look a little wild and out of my comfort zone. When I say out of my comfort zone, I guess I mean more of like what I'd feel comfortable like wearing out, but I'll do anything like just for fun because I'm just sitting at my house, nowhere to be, and it's just fun. And that's really why I like the colorful palettes. Like, I actually do use these kind of palettes, like the pastel palettes I love. I still wear them out. I just try and do it usually in a more like wearable way, I guess is how I would describe it. Wearable is very subjective to like what you like and what you're comfortable wearing, but I usually just avoid like a full-on rainbow look and maybe just choose one shade of the rainbow to focus on that day, which is what I would do with this palette. Like I mentioned earlier, I'd probably just dip into like this shade and put it all over the lid, and maybe this on the outer corner. I might even dip into another palette and get kind of like a neutral shade, or use a bronzer in the crease or something, maybe like a little bit of this. Keep it more like neutral with just like one nice shade over the lid. I actually really like this look. I don't know about the green on the bottom. I'm gonna go put mascara on and then we'll see it all together. All right, now that I have the mascara on, I definitely like the green lower lash line a lot better. I really like this palette, and I'm not surprised that I'm saying that at all because it is just beautiful. And ever since I tried the first one from them, well, the first one to me from them, the America's Parks palette, I just knew that I would love this one too. So let me know down below which one you guys like better if you saw that video. But here's the two of those side by side. So we have the America's Parks palette and then the Iceland palette. I really like both of them. I'm not surprised at all. I think the quality is very consistent. They have a lot of different formulas, and I think that that's really unique as far as just within each palette. There's a lot of different ones. I do think that the one thing I don't love about this Iceland palette, and it's just personal preference. I get the theme and it makes sense, but personal preference, I would have liked this blue color scheme to be represented in the inside as well, but I get it's the Fire and Ice palette, I know, but I think that the like brick tone background behind the colors actually throws me off a little bit since there are so many blue and like cool tone shades. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, what should I do? But I thought that today and I love how it turned out. So it's really not a deal breaker by any means, and it's not like I don't like that about it. It's just personal preference. I like blue more than the like kind of rustic red tone. So that's just like a total personal preference. And you might think something completely different. But yeah, between the two, I really don't know which one's my favorite because they're super different. But again, I wanted to tell my best friend Caroline, thank you for this palette. I was talking about it the whole time we were on our trip, just like, can't wait to get home and use that. Like, obviously I was having so much fun on the trip, but this was something to look forward to, that I had to come home, but at least there's something waiting for me to like test out. So that was really nice as far as that goes, but I'm definitely going to get a lot of use out of this palette and I'm excited to use it more. I think that the shades are just super unique. I didn't do my inner corner highlight. Hang on, we can use one more shade. I forgot I was going to use this shade River Glacier as my inner corner highlight so that I could use yet another shade. So let's go ahead and do that. That completed the look. I don't think an inner corner highlight completes the look, completes every look, but it completed this look. But with that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I know that I did. I've been dying to try this ever since Caroline gave it to me. So yeah, I'm really excited to use this some more, and it's just really pretty. I can't say enough good things about it. I'm really impressed with this brand so far. And one day I'll probably pick up the Tokyo palette as well. So anyways, guys, it's getting really late. I think it's time for me to go to bed, but I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you're having a good day. Please be sure to give today's video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. I would really appreciate it. And be sure to subscribe to my channel as well as follow me on Instagram. It'll be linked in the description. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.